In the stage productions, I'm constantly playing with what is real and really there and what is imagined or conjured through the movement action or the jokes or the song or whatever that's being told. So the reason for using real world objects and the audience understanding that this is a performance is that I suppose I'm playing with, is Rob being Rob, or is Rob being a version of Rob, or is Rob being just a performer performing for me, ditto everybody else on stage? Is the space a performance space? Are the performers equal with the audience? What's the transaction between the audience and the performers? What is that's going on there? Do I believe this space? Do I dare walk into this space if I'm an audience member? Or is it a precious space? Is it a space where things can happen that wouldn't happen in the real world? Or is it a space that's other than me? Or can I relate to what's going on in the space? So I'm constantly thinking spatially as well as emotionally whether there's a connection between people sitting in the dark watching or people playing things out in front of our eyes on the stage. In terms of where the audience is placed in relation to the work, it's usually end-on in live work, an end-on theatre situation where the audience are sitting in the dark and the performers are lit on a stage. With Virgin Territory, I deliberately put the performers into an arena space and the audience in the round to reflect the theme of the work, which was being seen from all sides through social media, not having any privacy, being overexposed as young people. And actually it was really interesting because it did feel, I think, very exposing for the performers to be seen all round, and we had to really adapt the choreography to be able to be seen in the round. It's the only time I've done that, really. I have done that in the past with installation work where I've placed a glass house in a gallery or adaptable theatre space and had the performers running round and round it and in and out of the glass house with the audience all around. And it's really interesting because it really disrupts what the audience expectations are, and we can't predict how an audience will behave in that situation. I've also made installations where an audience enter one at a time and set off a whole sensory thing called shifting intimacies, and that was really interesting because that was one audience member in relation to video and sound work. But generally speaking, the audience is in the dark watching the people in the light, and we maintain that. When the work's viewed as an installation, the work plays across multiple screens and the audience are free to sit and watch or drop in and out the action as you would in an art gallery, or to walk through. And actually what's really interesting in an art gallery situation is people tend to come in and then sit down immediately as they would in a theatre. Like with Virgin Territory, we had a whole series of mirrors that reflected what was on the actual TV screens, and the invitation was to walk through the gallery and look at the work reflected as well as on the actual screens. And nobody did that much because I think audiences are very used to going in, seeing a screen and thinking it's like a cinema. But some people saw it through the mirrors, some people saw it on the screens. And then finally, of course, there is watching, work on your own personal device. Our film installation work translates into a split screen, one screen, situation where you're watching on a device. More and more, that's how people are watching it, and it's not a communal live audience experience of filmed work, it's just you with the work. I worry slightly about that audience transaction because when the work's hard hitting, you wonder who you talk to about the work that you've just seen. How do you have that safeguarding that we put in place in live theatres and indeed when we stage film installations? I worry slightly that some of the more challenging work, should it be seen alone, I'm not sure.
I follow your every step.
When we work on location in the filming of the work, it's a completely different thing because what Bosie and I try and do is find locations that can represent or be metaphorical for the themes of the work. So with Shutdown, for example, we went to these massive concrete sound mirrors. I think they were in Kent, and we trolled the cast over there and filmed some of the scenes against this really brutalist but very beautiful concrete structures, which obviously had no place in the live work, but just added a whole new dimension of what's being reflected. Is this a masculine space? What are we doing here? Why are we there? And we also took the circle dance that the men do, the sort of tribal dance, in Shutdown, and took it to Newhaven Fort and found a circular stone structure there that we mapped with the choreography. So sometimes when we're filming, we try to find a space that represents the choreography, or a space that brings something else metaphorically to the idea of the show. We also, with Shutdown, for example, filmed a lot of it in a warehouse in Newhaven, and decided to also bookend the work by watching the performers come in, sort of off stage, come into the warehouse and leave at the end, which was the filmic equivalent of this on-off area that I've just been talking about.